Hello once again, Clickachu here. In this video I will show the exact method that I used to farm my very first divines in the early endgame. I recently uploaded my complete build guide video, the link is in the description, and the overall reception was very positive, but there were quite a few comments complaining that people can't afford this build, saying it's too expensive. Some even complained that the 6 link is too expensive, even though it's actually essential for almost every build. That's why I decided to create a short guide to help players earn their first divines. This will be a very budget-friendly strategy, doable on low-tier maps, requiring minimal investment and no powerful build. It's simply the easiest way to start earning currency, upgrade your build, and gain momentum to progress to higher-tier maps and make even more profit. If you are a very advanced and experienced player already in the endgame, this strategy might not be particularly helpful for you. That said, you could adapt and expand on some aspects of it for higher tier maps, so there might still be something valuable here for you. However, this guide is primarily aimed at players looking to earn their first currency and get started. Without further ado, let's dive straight into the guide. For the purpose of this guide, I'll run 5 low tier maps. This will be tier 6 maps, which are very low and easy to complete. I'll show you exactly which maps I bought and played, their total cost, and at the end I'll break down the exact returns to calculate the average profit per map using this strategy. So, as you can see here, I'm buying 5 maps and filtering specifically for the increased rarity of items in the area. I click on that stat to sort maps with the highest rarity and aim to buy those with over 100% rarity. Of course, I'm going for the cheapest ones, don't buy those that cost a divine. And as you can see, I managed to buy 5 maps at an average price of 2.6 exalts each. One of them, which I got for 200 augmentations, costs less than an exalt. Either way, the average price per map comes out to 2.6 exalts, and the total cost for all 5 maps is 13 exalts. Now I'm applying 3 distilled emotions to each map, specifically distilled guild. Each one increases pack size by 7% and also makes the map delirious, raising its deliriousness. This boosts the drops, but also increases the difficulty. If you're not confident, you can skip this step or use just 1 emotion per map, but it's really worth it. If you're using pack size maps instead of rarity maps, you can swap these emotions for the distilled grid that increase rarity. In this case, we're adding pack size to scale it with the rarity from distilled guild on the maps. If you're an endgame player and don't mind investing more, you can buy distilled paranoia emotions that increase the number of rare monsters on maps, though they are a few exalts each. For our setup, we spent 21 exalts for 15 distilled grid emotions, which averages out to 4.2 exalts per map. So the total cost for our 5 maps, including the purchase price and adding the pack size and delirium, comes to 34 exalts. The total average cost per map is 6.8 exalts. One more thing about the maps. The only mod I'm focusing on is increased item rarity. I absolutely ignore any mods that make the map harder, as this only slow us down and the only bonus we get from them is waystones. Waystones are very cheap, and especially on such low tier maps they are worthless, so I completely disregard those stats. Of course, if I happen to get a rarity map with additional mods like increased pack size, more rare monsters or increased item quantity, then that's great. But my main goal is to get as much rarity as possible on the easiest maps. Unfortunately, in Path of Exile 2, it's a bit different than in the first game. In PoE 1, we were rewarded with item quantity of items found for making maps harder, which was very profitable. Here, unfortunately, we're barely rewarded for the difficult mods on maps. Now, an important note. On tier 6 maps, simulacrum sprinters and breach splinters won't drop, so our profit will be much smaller than it could. These splinters will only drop on tier 11 maps or higher, but I want to show that even on such low tier maps and without using all of the opportunities to earn, you can still make a profit to kickstart your build. Also, for the purpose of this video, I respect all of the points in my breach tree that provide bonuses to the breach mechanic. And breach is the only mechanic that we will be using on these maps. Every map I run will only feature the bridge mechanic without a developed tree, no other mechanics, and no collected corruption, which also significantly boosts monster count and drops. My large Atlas tree is fully unlocked, and this is my setup. Now, a few words about the item rarity on my gear. My character has 169% item rarity with 56% on the helmet, 56% on the amulet, 28% on the gloves, and 29% on the boots. This is really an achievable result. It's not difficult or expensive to get. None of my rings have rarity, though I do have one with very high 58% rarity. However, in this video, I'm purposely not using it to show how this strategy works on a character with relatively low rarity, which is very important, but not that easy to get early in the endgame. The goal here isn't to show an overpowered character destroying the game, it's to demonstrate something that anyone can do with just a bit of effort. So, as you can see, I run 5 maps, and I've placed all the currency and drops into separate tabs, map 1, map 2, etc. This way I can see how much dropped on each map, and then we'll sum it all up. So as you can see, on each of the maps I dropped some currency and a few items that might be worth something. I think there's a chance some of these rare items could sell for a few exiles each, which would be a nice profit considering they're such low tier items. I can also add that when I started this strategy earlier in the game, I once dropped a Thief's Torment ring on a tier 6 map, which I sold for 7 divines. So while it's true that higher tier maps have more rare monsters and can earn you more, that doesn't mean you can't make money or get valuable drops on lower tier maps. The rare items that weren't worth selling I sold for gold. This will be useful for trading currency or to gamble for items. I also dropped a few unique items which I disenchanted into chance shards, and chance orbs are currently worth 6.5 exiles. Now I'm converting all the currency I've gathered into exiles, and we can move on to the summary and final result to see how much we invested and how much we earned. The total yield from the maps was 63 exiles, plus a few items that might still sell for a couple of exiles, as well as 2 precursor tablets and a few other small items and currency. Just to let you know, my item filter does not show the transmutation and augmentation orbs, which can be additional profit, but they are just too cheap for me to click them. The total cost of buying and crafting the maps was 34 exiles, and the net profit is 29 exiles, which is 5.8 exiles of profit per map. This might look not a lot for someone who is already advanced in the endgame, but I often hear people complaining that they barely drop 1x per map, so I think this strategy will help them. Currently the cost of a divine is 120 exiles, so in this 5 map session we made a profit of at least a quarter of divine. With just a few more sessions like this, you could easily earn your first few divines. Basically, by doing 20 maps like this, you're almost guaranteed to earn a divine or more. And the rare items that we drop, I think, will cover the map cost, so the profit is even higher, not to mention the gold from plenty of rare items that dropped. And this gold we can use for additional profit. Someone might say that this isn't too much of a profit, since it only comes out to about 5.8 exiles per map, which is pretty low, but we're making constant profit, and with this increased rarity we have a chance for some bigger drops, which didn't occur, and I'm happy for that, because that would mess up the statistics. I showed this strategy to a friend of mine, and he said he dropped a perfect jeweler's orb, which is 300 exiles, in his very first map, and it was on a tier 6. And a few maps later he said he dropped his first divine. And also, as I mentioned earlier, let's remember these are low tier maps where splinters don't drop, which would be an additional source of income. We also don't have any other extra mechanics, nor do we have any unlocked points for endgame small trees. In my case, I started by developing the bridge tree. It's difficult to get points there, because not only are the bosses a bit challenging, but just entering the maps is very costly. So it's a big investment at the start, but you can start earning more by unlocking them. To sum up, I hope I've shown players who are struggling with not having exiles or divines and who find it hard to make money that it's now easier to get started. From there, you can of course move on to one of many better strategies than this, because this isn't the best strategy. It's simply a starting point. So I hope I've helped, and I'd also like to add, don't rely on that one miraculous drop, thinking that suddenly a divine will drop for you. For example, in my own game, I already have over 100 divines in my gear. I bought a headhunter for 28 divines and many other expensive upgrades, but in my entire gameplay, I've only dropped 3 pure divines, so don't count on those miracle drops. Real big profit comes from regular farming, and all those small drops add up to create profit. It doesn't require super high skill, an overpowered character, or insane abilities. What matters more is being clever, having a good setup, preparing your maps well, and with this knowledge I hope you'll be able to skyrocket and build the character that you want. That's it for this video. Thanks for watching, consider subscribing and checking my other videos for more content like this, especially my complete video guide for Lightning Arrow Deadeye, and good luck on your maps.